there's one question that everyone has. Why has it taken the visit of US President Biden, China's President Xi, leaders from around the world for action on all of the problems that this city has been talking about for 4 years now?
Well, just to be clear, we have been working on this now for a few years. This is not an issue that we've been sitting around waiting to solve. It's been something that San Francisco continues to work on. And since I've been mayor, since 2018, we've helped over 10,000 people exit homelessness. And we've never even had 10,000 people on our streets. We've seen a reduction when other Bay Area cities saw an increase. And so this is a problem that we continuously worked on. This year, fortunately, we've gotten additional resources from the state and the federal government that has really made a tremendous difference around the challenges that we're dealing with.
A question from our audience that was submitted when they heard you were coming on the program is, were people moved temporarily because of the events of this week from specific blocks and neighborhoods to others, or was this a permanent action that was taken for what we see on the streets outside?
Well, it was an effort that took place. As you know, we had a court case where it limited our ability to move people off the streets. We still have a few hundred beds available, and our street outreach team is out there every day. And after we got clarity from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, people who are offered shelter are no longer involuntarily homeless. So we are able to move them into housing, into treatment, into support. And so we have been very aggressive once we had that clarity to get people off the streets. Our goal is always to provide support, to provide compassion, but to not let people linger on our streets, especially when we're offering them an opportunity for housing. Our hope with what we've offered is that they will hold on to what we're making available to them.
Mayor Breed, the frustration of San Franciscans and the perception of the outside world is this happens every APEC or even with Dreamforce. For a week, the city is cleaned up. It puts its best foot forward. But when everyone leaves on Friday or at the end of the week, what guarantees can you give the city that this is permanent, that the actions the city's taken to address the problems we know about will continue?
Well, just to be clear, APEC is a very unique event in San Francisco. We haven't had a global event of this magnitude since the United Nations was established. So it's a big deal. And after Dreamforce, things that we've done to keep the streets clean, to deal with the open air drug dealing and using have continued, which is why we're seeing a significant increase in how great the streets look of San Francisco. And also, just so you know, we have certain concentrated areas where there are challenges. Other major cities in the U.S. have the same problems. But in our neighborhoods, in the outskirts of San Francisco, things have been looking up for a very long time.
Welcome to our Bloomberg television and radio audience worldwide. We're speaking with San Francisco Mayor London Breed. That's the case, right? That these issues are not unique or specific to San Francisco. Indeed, other Californian cities experience them. Why does the world think, though, that San Francisco is a problem city and sort of apportion more blame in that sense than to other cities?
Well, San Francisco has always been a larger-than-life city. People are always surprised to find out that our population isn't even 1 million people. We represent the entire Bay Area. It's a global city. It's the gateway to the Asia Pacific. And so what this city has represented in history, whether it's the United Nations in 1945 or the peace treaty with Japan in 1951, San Francisco continues to be that city that creates those global connections, that is really oversized in terms of its image around the world, and it's one of the most beautiful, iconic places anywhere. So we're going to always get attention, whether it's good attention or bad attention, depends on what the story represents. And right now, APEC, all eyes are on the city. Artificial intelligence, of the top 20 AI companies in the world, 8 are in San Francisco, and they are growing rapidly. Autonomous vehicles are being tested here. We're seeing so many new technologies and things that are changing the world. And even during COVID, we were a leader and we saw one of the lowest death rates anywhere in the country. So San Francisco continues to get a lot of attention in various aspects, and that will continue. And my hope is, as a result of APEC, people will finally get to see what San Francisco is from their own experience.
The centerpiece of this week for many is President Biden meeting with President Xi and the expectation is there will be some discussion about fentanyl.
Yes.
If you had the opportunity to speak to President Xi this week, what would you ask of him in the context of fentanyl?
Well, part of it is, just to work with the U.S. and to ensure that the resources that are being sent out of China that come into either the U.S. or Mexico are cut off to the fullest extent possible, that we work together in order to ensure that this deadly poison that is killing people in San Francisco in significant numbers and all over the country, that we're able to combat this, to stop it, so that we can continue the relationship, the good relationship that always existed between China and the U.S. around trade, around business growth and development, because right now this is a big part of what I think is also having an impact on our relationship, because it has been so deadly to the people of the United States.
Mayor Breed, who will you be meeting with this week, and what are you hoping to achieve when the week ends?
Well, I'm hoping to meet with a number of the leaders who are coming to San Francisco from the various economies. I'll be saying hi. There'll be very brief hellos and meetings and just welcomes to San Francisco, and hopefully an opportunity, not just to talk about the challenges, but to talk about the business opportunities and how San Francisco can be an important part of the economies of these various countries, because many of the growth and development around AI and new technologies are being developed right here.
Going into this week, Mayor Breed, you'd announced jointly with Mark Benioff that Dreamforce will return next year. Has Mr. Benioff given you any guarantees that Dreamforce will stay in San Francisco beyond 2024?
Well, right now, next year, Salesforce is committed to hosting Dreamforce in San Francisco. Mark is a San Franciscan. He loves this city, and we'll continue to work very closely with him to ensure next year's success, as well as hopefully future Dreamforce success in San Francisco.
AI, it's clearly top of mind for everyone, not just this week, but throughout 2023 here in this city. We've talked about all of the square foot of office space that has been filled by AI. Dozens of startups have been founded in this city. What action will you take this week to continue that? What initiatives are you trying to put in place to continue the growth that AI seems to be centering in our city?
Well, part of it is San Francisco has never had to work hard for business, for tourism and conventions. And what that means is, we need to change a lot of our codes and things that limit people's ability to do business in San Francisco. We were always, you can only be a bank in the financial district, or you can only have a retail establishment here. And many of the policies that I've already proposed allow for diversifying places like the building we are in now today, so that it's used for more than just office space. It could be used for lab space. We have a 3.4 vacancy rate for lab space, yes. And so we could use a building like this for that purpose. It should be able to easily convert it.
But is your office, Mayor Breed, directly involved in those conversations, kind of bringing private sector to opportunities that you're aware of in our city?
We definitely are. IKEA is a perfect example of a space that sat empty that wouldn't have been possible had we not bridged that gap to make it possible for IKEA to go into that space. So we're doing both. We're changing policies based on the communities and the people who are property owners to allow for their properties to be used for more than just one use. We're making planning code changes, and we're trying to just make it easier so that the process is not as cumbersome in trying to deliver something different and unique and diverse for San Francisco business.
Mayor Breed, until very recently, San Francisco was the only city in the world that had 2 robo-taxi companies operating 24/7 and charging a fare for driverless rides. Cruise's permit was revoked. I appreciate that's the jurisdiction of the DMV and the CPUC, but if Cruise were able to demonstrate they fixed the issues that the regulators were concerned about, would you support their permit being reinstated?
Well, we actually have 3, including Zoox, which is a lot smaller, I know, and Waymo.
But they're not charging fares to the public.
Yes,
right?
And so our hope is that, this is really about safety and security and transparency. And my hope is that Cruise can get things in order order in order to be back on the streets of San Francisco. But they really are going to need to build the trust of the people here in the city. And I know that we don't directly make the decision, but we're still here to work with this technology because we are excited that autonomous vehicles are in San Francisco, are testing in San Francisco, are able to be a new transportation network as a part of San Francisco, but we have to ensure that it's a safe network of transportation as well.